Hello everyone, is everything okay? My name is Claudio and I am a researcher of the Naval Systems Analysis Center of the Brazilian Navy. And now I'm going to present the work that is called Trainee Selection Using the AHP-TOPSIS-2N method for a technology startup. Okay, well, as we see in the introduction, we have an early stage called River Data that starts a new selection process for a trainee to increase the scale of the work. River Data is a startup that develops IoT-based products for data generation to support the decision-making in the industry and to automate the manual processes to add value to the information flow between the business processes. River Data opened a selection process for research and development, where the technical skills required are technical English, programming languages, Python or R, great writing skills and optional familiarity with ESP8266 and ESP32 microcontrollers. In this context, it was made a mental map for the general characteristics to be considered during a selection process, as we can see here in this image. Okay. In the theoretical foundation, we have another way of viewing this contest. From the perspective of the organization as a position in the market, selecting great candidates in an effective way inside the process is a fundamental point in the sense of long-term competitiveness, since that the organization will benefit from qualified personnel as a result from an effective process selection. A lot of organizations had understood that technology associated with data changes dramatically the way human resources management capabilities work, although some companies already may take action to adapt this reality. It is seen with no north. To hire the right people for the right situation in the expectation of strengthening your work, but in a startup, multi-criteria methods were used to support the decision-making process with the tool called three decision methods. That is a web-based tool that allows the user to select between three decision methods, EHP, TOPSIS, or AHP-TOPSIS-2N to receive support in your decision-making problems. Okay, the image that you're seeing right now is a print screen of the homepage of the three decision methods web tool software, right? Well, the tool has three different decision methods that we can use in a simplified way, but in the back end, in the background, they occur like this. The analytic hierarchy process is a method for analyzing complex situations and make sound decisions. In the AHP-TOPSIS-2N method, the AHP part is responsible to calculate the criteria weights for each decision, using the individual preference of each one of data collected from decision makers. The TOPSIS method positions the alternatives according to your distance from the ideal positive solution and the distance from the ideal negative solution. In the AHP-TOPSIS-2N method, the TOPSIS is used in two ways of normalization during its execution, so the name 2N, from two normalizations. The AHP-TOPSIS-2N method is an integrated approach between the EHP and TOPSIS methods, where the EHP is for calculating the criteria weights and the TOPSIS is for position of the alternatives. The figure on the left represents the first stage of the problem solving, where the problem and objects of decision-making are defined in a hierarchic way. Okay. Well, since the method was used to support the decision-making in a computational approach, this part of the work pretends to show the mathematical approach that works in the program's backend. To make the correct execution of the AHP-TOPSIS-2N, it's necessary to follow the steps, also provided in the flowchart that we're going to see in the next slides. Alternatives and criteria structuration, weights obtaining, definition of the alternatives performance, make normalization 1 process, make the normalization 2 process, aggregation, positive and negative solutions, positive ideal solution, negative ideal solution, and then the final utility, as we can see here in this flowchart, okay? We have the alternatives and criteria structuration in the EHP procedure. We have the weights obtaining. Then we have the definition of the alternatives performance and the normalization 1 process, normalization 2 process. Then we have the aggregation step, followed by the positive ideal solution and negative ideal solution. And then by the end, we have the final utility that gives us the results according to what we have from input the data, okay? Then the proposed solution, in order to attract a trainee able to make the work inside the startup, it was considered the following criteria between the alternatives: reading expression, data filtering, technical English, algorithm, time available, and time until formed. The reading expression criteria is related to the candidate's capability of write great messages plus documentation during the work. Data filtering corresponds to a challenge sent to the candidates during the selection process, where they had to filter some disorganized data. Technical English was obtained according to the grades that the candidates got in on online tests with some questions of documentations, programming languages, Python, and R. Algorithm is a grade related to the Visual Basic for Applications code, reconstructed in order to solve a theoretical problem. Time available is a criterion related to the work time available by the candidate, distributed from the minimum of 4 hours in a day to 6 hours in a day. Time until formed in the time in months that the candidate has until he or she gets formed in the university or technical school. All right. Well, the results and report that we have is based on the related concepts. After executing the AHP-TOPSIS-2N method in the web platform 3decisionmethods.com, it is able to see that result in the matrix in the procedure 1 and the procedure 2, where in this case, the candidate 3, the real names of the candidates were preserved, were chosen. According to the online tool and the method AHP-TOPSIS-2N and its two procedures, the candidate that appears in the first place is candidate 3. After this process, the candidate has been notified of your approval in the river data selection process, and then started the bureaucratic part for the hiring, finalizing with the start of the work on the next week. Okay? Conclusion. With the marketing actions, it was collected data from 51 candidates interested in the trainee job. In this context, selecting the best one is not an easy work. So first, one of the results achieved is the time saved during the selection process execution. So we can conclude that in a case like the provisions of this work, the use of methods such as AHP-TOPSIS-2N was fundamental for the organization success. This was the references that I used in the work, and I thank you all